our distinguished guests, esteemed professional members of IIA, dedicated faculty of JNC, students and architecture enthusiasts who have come together for a very special lecture on sustainability and architecture. It is my privilege to welcome our esteemed guest speaker for today, Mr. Wangchuk sir. Mr. Wangchuk sir is a distinguished engineer, innovator, education reformist, and an environmentalist, celebrated and awarded for his considerable contribution to sustainable architecture and environmental conservation. His impactful work has inspired individuals worldwide, particularly in relation to climate change and sustainable living practices. I would like to extend an invitation to the Chairman, Architect Shyam Shelar Sir of the Indian Institutes of Architects, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar chapter to deliver the welcome address.
Good evening all. Myself, Architect Shyam Shelar, Chairman, IIA Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar Center. Good evening to one and all. We at IIA Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar Center with MGM University Center are thrilled to welcome our speaker of the day, Shri Sonam Wangchuk, who we all probably know as Phungsuk Wangru from movie Three Idiots, which was inspired by his work. He is an engineer, innovator, and education reformist. He is the founder director of SECMOL, Students' Education and Cultural Movement of Ladakh, founded in 1988. SECMOL campus runs on solar energy and uses no fossil fuel. He is recipient of many awards and in his career, and he was instrumental in launch of Operation New Hope in 1994 in collaboration with government to bring reforms in government schooling systems. He invented the ice stupa and also has to his credit tons of patents. He has been also instrumental in designing the construction of several passive solar mud buildings in region of Ladakh. I think the movie Three Idiots, inspired by his work, has changed the social and cultural scenario a lot of the Ladakh region, and tourism has increased manifold in the region, which is bringing about a huge infrastructure development in the region. But that too needs to be controlled in some way, so that in totality it does not harm the environment. I shall now hand over in few minutes to Shri Sonam Wangchuk for his thoughts on sustainable architecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite HOD Architecture Professor Sunil Patil sir to say a few words.
Respected sir, I am listening you from yesterday and I am very much impressed, and it's a true thing, whatever is shown in that movie Three Idiots. I have seen that multiple times, and I hats up to you, your thoughts, your concepts, I really appreciate. I am here just to introduce our department. Our department started in 1989, 34 years back, architecture department. Now we have two PG programs, environmental architecture and general architecture. And in BIH we try to give hands-on experience to the students. For that thing we have even started a Section 80 company. Under Section 80 company we try to take some projects and on which students will work on that projects. So I will not take much of your time and hand over the things to me.
Our 5 years architecture program is designed to provide an immersive learning, and the students are engaged in hands-on project.
Architecture department is dedicated in nurturing the next generation architects who are skilled in design with the latest technology, and they are also having the sense of sustainability and culture.
Welcome to our first year in architecture, where we explore the fundamentals of design and creativity.
In our second year, we dive deeper into architecture theory and practices, honing our skills with hands-on projects that challenge our imagination. Year 3 is where we truly find out our unique voices as architects, blending innovation to sustainability every project. As fourth-year students, we tackle complex design challenges and engage in real-world projects that prepare us for our professional practice. This is where theory meets application, and we begin to shape our architectural identities.
Our fifth year kicks off with an exciting internship, which bridges classrooms with real-world application. Using that knowledge, we embark on our thesis journey, exploring innovative ideas and pushing boundaries.
One of the greatest assets is our faculty, comprises of professionals with extensive industrial experience, and they bring real-world insight into the classroom.
Campus serve as a living laboratory. Open spaces are designed not only for relaxation but also act as platform for exploration. Students engage themselves outdoors. They observe nature, learn from nature.
We believe in extended learning beyond classroom, the guided study tours both locally and globally. The hands-on experience enhances their observation skills and deepens their appreciation for architectural aesthetics.
MGM Department of Architecture proudly participates in NASA national and zonal competitions, which are the most prestigious events for architecture students in India.
The students have access to advanced software programs that are essential for today's architectural landscape.
Environmental awareness plays a significant role in shaping future architects.
IIA MGN Association is a joint venture of our faculty and our private students. IIM meaning it is a multidisciplinary thing where all, not just architecture, but electrical, MEP, construction, landscape, interior, all are included in these consultancy services. And the sole purpose is to make students aware about the industrial practices and make them industry ready.
MGM's JNC Department of Architecture is more than academical institution. It's a community where future architects are made through collaboration, innovation and exploration.
Our chief guest, Mr. Sonam Wangchuk sir, is not only an innovator, reformist and engineer, but his contribution to the field of architecture does not go unnoticed. What truly distinguishes him in unwavering dedication to meeting the unique needs of his community, a passion that inspired him to co-found SICMOL, which I am sure he will be illuminating us further. He will be illuminating us further on his initiatives demonstrating how architecture can harmoniously blend functionality and sustainability, addressing the challenges of climate change while honoring the rich tapestry of local traditions. To express our gratitude for your presence and time, sir, I would like to invite Sheila sir to come forward for a formal felicitation ceremony. I would also like to invite Professor Sunil Patil sir to extend our gratitude to Mr. Testan Dorji sir.
Water and dry desert, but with human ingenuity, magic happens. We grow fruits like apricots, apples, pears, plums, peaches, grapes, and vegetables like all kinds of alpine vegetables, cauliflowers, spinach, potatoes, tomatoes, wheat, and cereals like barley. So this is what human beings have done. So for centuries, for millennia, people have not just survived, rather a colorful civilization has thrived with its own language, literature, music, dance, spirituality, while nature has not been that generous to us. In fact, it has left us, as I always say, the English phrase comes true here in Ladakh. We are left high and dry by nature otherwise. Yeah. Anyway, today we have even bigger problems with global warming? Our glaciers, which were our only source of water, even those are going away and causing droughts, followed by flash floods, followed by droughts again. So I want to bring home to you the gravity of what's happening when we talk of climate change, when we watch an episode on the television about some remote place in the Himalayas or by the seashore getting drowned, so you don't take it as just some story. I wanted to bring you firsthand the story of what is happening in high mountains where the effects of climate change are much more pronounced, so that you can understand and maybe change your lifestyle and advocate for others to change their lifestyles and join us in a campaign to make people change lifestyles, so that hope that you will understand and you will help others understand what our extravagant lifestyle, so-called modern industrial lifestyle, is doing to the planet and especially to people in the high Himalayas. Just an example I thought I should share with you firsthand, so you know that somebody firsthand shared with you what actually happens in these mountains when temperatures rise. Himalayas, Hindu Kush Himalayas, are often called the third pole of planet Earth. It's the biggest reservoir of fresh water in frozen form after North Pole and the South Pole, and therefore often called the third pole of the planet. Some 50,000 glaciers are found in the region, and in this just one photo frame, a photo that I casually took from the aeroplane as I flew out of Leh, just this one captures roughly 10 glaciers. So you can imagine how sensitive this region and how important it is to preserve and protect this source of water. Because without them, we will definitely in Ladakh become climate refugees. Because this is the lifeline if it's gone. But it's not just us alone. You in the plains of India, especially the entire North Indian belt, depends for its water on these mountains. Actually, 2 billion people, that is 1/4 of the population of the planet, directly or indirectly depend on water from the Himalayas and Hindu Kush. So it's a responsibility as well to give back in protection and conservation of this region. What is happening here, if you look at one of these glaciers, they look like this as you come close. Glaciers are like flowing ice rivers, not liquid river, but solid river. It flows down very slowly, few centimeters a day. And with rising temperatures and other environmental factors like air pollution, black carbon from vehicles, from industries, from burning of things like parali or stubble, the black sits on the white glaciers, and the rise in temperature, they melt. And when they melt in the midsummer, a whole torrent flows at the snout or the lower end of the glacier that you can see up there. There's a whole violent torrent that comes out, taking away the water from hundreds, sometimes thousands of years ago, that has been sitting up there but now it's going away very fast. And when they go in that quantity and that speed, it doesn't help people. It's actually a flood, a flash flood. Small quantities are great. People can thrive with agriculture, but when it is a flash flood, it's like this. This was a flash flood in a village called Pyang in 2006, which is near my school. And when we heard of this flash flood that washed away many farms, houses, animals, we went together with my students to help the village, to volunteer. And curious as I am always, I started while helping them trying to find out what is this, how often it happens, who in the village knows. So I got hold of the oldest person in the village that I could find. He was in his 80s, and I asked, "Sir, it has devastated your village. When was the last time this happened? How often does it happen?" And the old man looked at me and said, "I don't remember. I don't remember. I've never seen this since my childhood. I've only heard that such things could happen." So that year was 2006. The next one after this one was 2010. Just 4 years later, a quarter of the city of Leh was washed away. Many houses, shops, and some 1,000 people were lost. And the next one was 2013. The next one 2017. Something that the old man said he had never seen was so frequent. So this is what is happening in places like Ladakh, thanks to how we are managing our planet and how we are managing our personal lives. The effects are seen up there and down at the ocean seashores as the sea level rises, because all this is going down to the ocean. It's the other side of the same coin. Now in Ladakh, we have not been silent spectators of this, although we know these are none of our doing. This is not something we have done much to deserve or cause, but yet we wanted to do everything to mitigate and to adapt, so that we are not a part of the cause of this, and if possible we adapt to the changing times so we can still survive, even if not thrive. So this is Sekmol Alternative School, which I helped start in the 90s or late 80s, and already back then we were very conscious in how our ways of building, ways of living can have effects that are not desirable on the planet. So this school, early 90s, was built completely carbon neutral, completely from natural materials. The material used to build was cement, no. Steel, no. The material was under your feet, right below your feet. Soil, mud. Anybody has it. Nobody is so poor they cannot afford soil. Beautiful material. It has so many good properties. Insulating, yet has thermal mass. Regulates moisture, almost air conditions, free of cost. Perhaps that is what goes against it, free of cost, because nobody gains by promoting soil. That's why you don't hear any jingles and ads on television and radio. This earth and that soil You hear about cement and steel, but not about earth, because nobody gains. Everybody has it free, abundant, under their feet. So that's what is used in making these buildings, with some wood and some glass, of course. Wood as much as possible from nearby, but glass definitely not. And then these are designed in such a way that it is heated or powered by the sun. Again, something that shines right above everyone's head. Nobody is so poor they cannot afford the sun. And when you have abundant resources like sun above your head and soil below your feet, with some human ingenuity, you can make magic happen. So this was perhaps the first ever school in the world that was carbon neutral, zero energy, net positive, when these terms were not even coined. So the orientation makes sure that it receives all the sun, and insulation and materials makes that heat be stored and kept through the cold nights and cloudy weeks. And then photovoltaic panels that you see at the bottom, very early stages of its development, would power the buildings for electricity. Mind you, these photovoltaics are never good for heating. Many people say, so you use panels to heat your house, you say it is solar. No, these are very inefficient. They are good only for electricity, for computers, lighting, maybe television, but not for heating. They are so inefficient, 20% or so. And then if you convert it to heat or store it in a battery, more losses. Invert it back to electricity, more losses. Run a heater, more losses. Finally, you will have nothing. So a much better way is the architectural way. And that is what I share with you. Before that, let me tell you, when you talk of pollution and emission, normally we blame our cars, transportation, or our industries. But actually, if you see, buildings are the biggest polluters. 39% of emissions come from buildings, much more than cars, much more than industry. Together with operation and materials, it's the major polluter in the world, emitter in the world, and therefore my architect friends should be very sensitive about how they build, in the choice of materials and in how the person using it will use it for the life of the building. You could cause a lot of damage to the planet during the life of the building. At our school, back in the 90s, we built the buildings facing south. Doesn't cost more to orient a building to the south. Orientation doesn't cost money, yet you enjoy the sun by facing your building south in the northern hemisphere, because in the winter the sun is always in the lower sky. Southeast it rises and southwest it sets, not east and west as schools would teach. Actually, sun almost never rises in the east except for 21st March and 21st September. So other times in winter it rises in the southeast and sets in the southwest, and in summer it rises in the northeast and sets in the northwest, unless you are on the equator. Okay. Anyway, so we orient the building to south and keep it glazed so that all the sun can come in. And we use earth, as you can see, an ancient method to build. So this is something we learned from our ancestors. We added to it what is new, which is capturing sun with glass. Our ancestors didn't have. So that's what is happening down here. with that glazed facade or the greenhouse that is attached, that's the early model of solar heating that we used to do, a solarium or greenhouse on the south. You can see the fresh cold air enters into the greenhouse, gets heated, rises by convection, goes inside, gives its heat to the walls and becomes cool and dense and is pushed into the greenhouse again. And the cycle repeats infinitely all day with no power, no motor, no power bills, no pollution. It's just nature working for you. Taking the heat of the sun and storing it in the walls. And at night, when the windows are closed, in the day it is kept open so that you can have this under the skin of the greenhouse. Once you close it at night, the heat is stored in all the walls. This is convection. So as it is a school, it was actually a hands-on learning of heat transfer. Conduction, convection, radiation, you learn in physics, no? So that was convection, what I just told you. Conduction would happen when the sun strikes the wall that you see in brown, which is painted black from outside, and black absorbs, and particle by particle the heat conducts through the wall itself, and that heat reaches the indoors at midnight. Although it gains during the day, it takes time to reach at midnight, which is when it is cold. So that is conduction for you. For 9th grade children, this is their school, and it's a hands-on learning of heat transfer. And then at night when you close the windows, the warm walls are radiating, and that's radiation, rays of energy or heat. So that's part of learning and part of living together. So with these kind of experiments, we reached when it is minus 20 outside in winter, these rooms would be plus 18, which is way warmer than houses in Delhi, which are often plus 8, plus 10. So I always say when I come to Delhi in January from Ladakh that I feel cold in your Delhi. Because it is plus 18, and that's the second generation buildings. Now the third generation buildings are mostly at plus 20 to plus 22. So it is as good as anywhere in the world. The beauty of using a little bit of geography is that these buildings are also cool in summer. By using orientation, you can make sure that you gain from the sun in winter and avoid it in summers. So buildings that are warmest in winter are also the coolest in summer. At this campus, almost everything happens with the energy of the sun and materials like earth. Cooking, we use reflectors that reflect the sun and focus it inside the kitchen under the pot, and you can cook for 200 people. Greenhouses that produce fresh green vegetables even in polar environment. Natural lighting so that you don't need electricity in the day. Electricity that you do need can be, of course, produced using photovoltaics, except that in early 90s it was not as simple and 4 times costlier. Water heating through the sun, simple contraptions that can heat the water and you can take showers. Water pumping from the river Indus with the sun. Even the cows at this campus live in solar heated cow sheds. Because when our children we had all built solar heated houses for the human beings, the children said, how about the cows? We should also have warm cow sheds for the cows. So they all got together to build that cow shed, which is painted black to absorb the sun. And in winter, that rolled up plastic sheet comes down as a greenhouse. And then again the same effect happens, convection, conduction, radiation. And the cow shed stays at plus 12 in winter, which is much warmer than people's houses. Now we did it as a gesture, kindness for the cows, and the cows reciprocated. The children and I were so surprised. Suddenly, when we introduced the cows in these solar heated cow sheds, they, as if to say thank you, doubled their milk production. The milk production, which was 7 liters, became 14 liters. Can you guess why? Out of gratitude and some science. Can you guess the science? In whole of North India, particularly in cold places like Ladakh, cows dry up during winter. They don't give milk or much less milk. Here in high Himalayas, they stop milk. Can you guess why? They are angry. Their homes are not heated. No? In a way, yes, because they have to maintain their bodies at plus 37. We are warm-blooded animals, and warm-blooded animals have to maintain their body temperature, 98 Fahrenheit or 37 degrees centigrade. A degree higher, it's fever, can kill you. A degree lower, it's hypothermia, can kill you. You have to really maintain. That's a strength or weakness of warm-blooded, not of cold-blooded like lizards and snakes. They can go cold with the temperature, go hot with the temperature. We can't. So cows also have to, poor things, maintain their bodies, their 300 kilo bodies at plus 37 when the cow shed is minus 5 in normal cow shed. You imagine a difference of some 40 degrees. Where will the energy come from? If their sheds are cold, then where will the energy to keep them at 37 come from if they are to live? Otherwise, they'll die. Where will the energy come? From whatever they eat. Metabolism, body heat. So, if all the energy goes in keeping their body warm, then where do you get milk? No? They can't produce milk if all the energy goes in keeping their bodies warm. Now, if you give that warmth through cheaper artificial ways like a solar heated shed, then they have all the luxury to convert the rest of the energy into milk and therefore double the milk. So that was a beautiful gesture from the cows. Okay. So at this school, we try to live sustainably, but sustainably is not enough now. Sustainable means to sustain what is going on. And to sustain a broken system is neither sustainable nor viable, right? So sustainable is no longer good enough. You have to be restorative or regenerative, as some call it. You have to heal the damage that you have done and not just sustain at the minimum level. So therefore we call it restorative living, regenerative living. You see, this is a very common scene in Ladakh. You're farming with animals, not with tractors, but with animals. Slowly it is converting to machines now, but at our school, we make sure our students who do farming, keep cows and so on, do it the way we used to do, because it's so beautiful and natural and so restorative and regenerative and not just sustainable. So the animals help till and plow the ground to produce food for humans. Behind you see the house or any house on any farm. Now the dung from the animals is the only fuel available in most of Ladakh to heat that house, or some wood from the trees. So in a normal house, the dung from the cows and yaks would be burned to keep that house warm. Trees would be cut to keep that house warm. Not the whole tree, but it will be harvested, trimmed to heat the house. Here at this school, you have that house, but it doesn't need your dung or your branches It takes the sun and keeps it warmer than anything else. So what happens? The dung goes back to the soil to fertilize the soil. The branches stay on the tree and enrich nature. So by adopting this lifestyle, actually you are enriching nature. You're not just sustaining. Sustainable it would be if we burnt the dung. If we burnt the wood, it would be sustainable because it is our creation. The trees were planted by us, watered by us. So if we burn it, it will be net zero. Same, the dung we could have burned and we will still be sustainable. But when you don't and you let it back into nature and more nature smiles and gets enriched, then it is restorative, regenerative. So this is what we should be aiming at, not just sustainable housing, but if possible, net positive effect. Meanwhile, this is what is happening in the city. In our case, in Leh and in most cities, you can see covered with fog and smog and so on. In Ladakh, most houses burn whatever they can catch hold of, from wood to coal to oil to garbage, tires and whatever you get. Yeah? People would burn and make air poisonous to breathe. Now, what we are trying to do is, for a school, it is enough to just be self-reliant. So we could only do that much at this school that you saw. Now we are launching an alternative university. That was an alternative school which became self-reliant. So we said, how about taking these technologies to the world and making it better? We can't just be an island, a bubble in our school. We'll have to change how things happen in the cities. So that cannot be done by children in a school. For that you need to change higher education. So we are trying to set up or launching an alternative university called HIAL, Himalayan Institute of Alternatives, Ladakh, where things will be learned experientially by doing. From that desert, we hope to make it a green oasis again, like the school. So that's where the work is going. It was completely open desert, and slowly it is changing. On that desert, we started with solar heated buildings to experiment which material is best and what design is best, and testing different models, different materials, different insulations in life-size experiments. These are not models in a laboratory, but actually identical buildings lived in by people. So it's a live lab inside, and we monitor these using different insulation. And this is the desert that's coming up slowly. So far we have built roughly a lakh of square feet and saves 60,000 tons of CO2, so many liters of fossil fuel. Over 20 years it will save, therefore the effect will be positive. Buildings are coming up using again soil and sun, and we're trying to make these buildings a blend of tradition and modernity. Tradition, materials like earth that our ancestors used to use, but modern people are throwing away earth and adopting concrete, steel and so on. Why to throw the baby with the bath water? Keep what was good in the past, add what is good in the modern. So therefore we kept material like earth for Ladakh. It's beautiful.